Mini Takes Podcast.
Look, if I open up your painting tutorial and the first step is getting out an airbrush, buddy, I'm not watching.
Bunch of nerds on the internet. Are you even having fun with this anymore?
Shane, if this happens, there's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth, people burning their armies.
If you can't see it, don't paint it. It's Mini Takes time again.
Oh, yeah.
That's Austin. I'm Shane. And we're here to give you our takes on the miniature hobby in a brand new format. It's episode 2. We've done this twice. If you're just finding us from 40K Fanatics and you're like, what happened to the 40K Fanatics? They're gone. They're no longer. Well, we're still here, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Just different and better and further expanded into new territory. And also not to be taken terribly seriously, because that was sometimes laborious.
Yeah, we are not the we're not the deep analysis channel that you were probably looking for.
Yeah, that's not what the show is. It's not what the show's supposed to be. However, there are some segments that will be familiar to you. We've got 2 timeouts that we've got to get to throughout the Mini Takes podcast, where we'll both have 5 minutes to make the other talk about what they've done in the hobby or stuff they've seen or something else kind of off topic. Today we're talking 11th edition terrain takes.
Mm-hmm.
But as always, Mini Takes wants your takes. We want them down in the comments. We want them over on our Discord. We want them everywhere so that we can read them, and then we give takes on your takes, and then that makes new takes, and then the whole thing creates its own energy. You can contact us over on the brand new Mini Takes Facebook, over on the Mini Takes TikTok, and on our Discord. How do they join the Discord? It costs a lot of money, I think.
You can join the Discord down below for free. You check the description or the comments. I had a little bit of issue with YouTube to where I had to take a video of my face for 6 seconds moving around in order to post any links. But should have that sorted out soon, and we should be able to post the Discord link soon. But we're getting that taken care of. But if you're listening in the future, you can more than likely go down there, click the link, and join us on Discord. And you can see everyone's beautiful models they have painted. You can get in here and chat with us. You can even play some games with us if you want to. But we have a lot of fun in here, so come join us.
Where can I find that video of your face just vaguely on the, proving you're not a robot?
You can probably find it somewhere on some kind of like Amazon web cloud. That's going to get easily hacked somehow. And then my face will be on the deep web, being sold for who knows what kind of biometric readings.
Or perhaps we can just post it later.
I don't even have it. They have it. Google has it.
We need to re-record it. We're going to find the footage. This is a little dog. If you guys are watching over on YouTube, you can see us now. That's kind of new. If you're one of our old listeners from 40K Fanatics, there's a little dog that keeps running across my lap. So say hello to Rooster, the little dog. Now, Mini takes your takes. Freaky contributor Dave. This is over. We got these from the Discord. He says, talking about terrain, I solicited some of your guys' takes to sort of get us started, an amuse-bouche of what is to come. He says, I like that the terrain pieces are the objectives. However, I feel dubious about it as it's looking like paintball mirror courses. So while it's no longer pie plates, we still have bland terrain layouts. I don't know. I think, and we're going to talk about it, there has been a stroke of brilliance, I believe. Trey, also over on the Discord, says, given current knowledge of the rules as we are yet to know them in full, I have a feeling that the terrain being as shown might already show what ranged weapons become prominent early, such as flamers with auto hits being great for ignoring cover and providing quality Overwatch, which is the same sort of thing that we've had for forever, if we're being honest. The torrent weapons are funny, right? Because they already ignored cover when cover was +1 to your save, and now they ignore cover because cover is going to be -1 to hit, and well, they don't care, do they?
No, it's I don't know. Maybe that's just a baked-in thing now with it. that we won't have to worry about.
It does feel that
So
way, where we're
we
not
won't
going to
have to
have to
worry
worry about,
about
well, this has no cover. Okay, all right. While I'm doing all this other Warhammer math, right?
it.
Um,
It's just inherent that the flamer would ignore cover because cover is minus ballistic skill.
yeah, which I
So
think
there's no need to worry about it.
is that better or worse,
Uh,
or is it just sort of a lateral move?
it depends on who you're asking, I think. Because if you're asking guardsmen hitting on fives now, that really hurts. If you're asking someone like Custodes hitting on threes now, when they were hitting on twos, it sucks a little more, but it's still pretty good for your shooting. I think it really depends on who's shooting and what their ballistic skill is. The armor save staying the same is going to be, I don't know how, it's probably going to hurt whoever is doing the shooting because you're not going to be able to penetrate the armor as easily uh, with the lack of the save bonus. I think that what it kind of boils down to is it feels more intuitive in that if I'm trying to shoot you through a series of ruined walls,
Or
my
trees or
hit,
whatever.
yeah, for anything, my hits aren't going to be able to hit you as well. While the hits that hit you, your body armor is still going to be doing the same thing it would have if I were to hit you in the open.
Yeah, I
It's
like.
more intuitive that way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's also kind of this. I like to think that 40K is thought about and functions best when it's like a Space Marine shoots at a Space Marine, right? Or some sort of Space Marine equivalent thing. And the fact that their armor save did not actually improve, right? So their 3 didn't become a 2 with cover.
Hmm.
However, it didn't, then this I feel like probably got very confusing to some of the more casual players. That okay, the 3 can't become a 2, but if it's AP1, then it's AP0, right? So you're
Hmm.
still at a 3. That is confusing compared to I'm in the thing, -1 to hit. Okay. And then
Yeah,
you can do whatever you want to bypass that, I suppose. I also think, too, toward the end of the edition, we had a whole bunch of detachments that had just add 1 AP to stuff, right? So you could bypass the cover that way, too, all the time, as if everything doesn't already have so much AP as to make the whole conversation moot. But that's a
hmm
discussion for another time. But the there, I don't think there's as much stuff that's +1 to hit. I mean, we're all re-rolling our hits constantly, so is it really +1 to hit, or is it plus 0.5 to hit, right?
hmm
That's another chunk of discussion that we might have. Um, I have one more of your guys' comments that I'd like to read. This one comes from our Spotify. We like you to listen on Spotify. So the YouTube's brand new. If you guys are here, do subscribe, do like, share with all of your nerdy friends and stuff. However, the Spotify only got rebranded. It was very easy to do that, so you guys didn't have to do anything. But over there, we've got a comment because you can leave comments there and we read them. Congrats on the new show format. Glad to hear that you are still about fun and hobbying, not griping, I think is what he's saying. Um, as for the main topic, my take. See what I did there? Yes, we do. I love the idea of dispositions. Oh yeah, that's what we talked about. We talked about the new mission stuff that we had heard about, the dispositions, etc. He says, I love the idea of dispositions. World leaders should be running full speed ahead. Guard should be more defensive. Raven Guard, more recon, etc. It has so much play and story potential. They did show a few layouts. It still looks like a paintball mirror course, which is disappointing, but who knows how it'll go.
hmm
Um, yeah, I I may have misread because I don't feel like in these reveal articles they're nothing to set your watch to, are they? But I thought I saw they said that in tournaments you're going to pick your disposition at the point of your list making, and then that's what you're going to
Yeah,
have the whole time.
yeah,
Which I
that's what they said.
which I think is fascinating because I imagine there will be some like purge the foe type where you just kill stuff will probably be, I predict, the easiest one to do, just to get your head around, just to do. But do we know what happens if two Purge the Foe go together? Does it randomize? Is it some particular mission that doesn't necessarily leverage both, that sort of strength on strength? You see what I'm saying? I could see somebody going in with the more recon, the more gadgety dispositions into a tournament, and that just absolutely putting the cat amongst the pigeons. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh
Hmm.
no, we all thought we were going to play mission two over and over and over again because that's the meta, right? And it's like, no,
Yep.
no, now you guys are going to have to figure out how to go and disarm bombs or whatever. And then we'll see how your kill only list works. I think that could be fascinating because I love
Yeah,
the idea that you can't just change right there while you're standing there because that would just be, you know, that would suck.
it seems to be that a lot of the more gadgety and fast moving kind of armies that aren't there to kill, they're there to essentially play the game. Those tend to do better on the higher tables when it comes to competitive. Because so like Eldar, Harlequins, they've always been more higher up, and they're more about playing the objectives, being fast, being able to get to where they need to be and do the thing. They usually in the right hands of someone who can like mathematically and look at the game and figure everything out, like Sherlock Holmes style, of where they need to be and what they need to do. Those usually operate the best in the right hands. So I feel like the recon play may actually end up being uh, in the toolbox of more of the skilled players going forward.
I've got a take. I think the competitive crowd, the GT, the RTT crowd, is going to light their hair on fire about having different missions on different tables in a given round. Reason why is because right now, even though we have a mission deck that randomizes missions, right? And we've had them the entire time. I've said over and over, why, when we show up to a tournament on the day, don't we just draw a mission at our table and everybody do it? And the answer that they give to a man every single time is, oh, well, some missions don't score as many points as others, and then table one and table five might have a different uh, propensity to score or not, right? And I say, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to have, right? Oh, well, then you're just saying that somebody's going to go 3-0 and score 100, 100, 100 because they got lucky on the day of their draw. Yes. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That appeared to be the whole intent of the mission deck in the first place. Was that you showed up and you don't know what you're going to play, and instead the whole competitive crew said, no, no, we're going to play mission J and K and M. And that's it. Everybody's going to play the same one. We're all going to know weeks in advance what's happening. And I've always thought that is super lame. Goes back to my old take. If you guys have listened for a long time, is 40K chess or sports? I think it's a lot more fun if it's closer to sports. But these nerds want it to be chess. So, what's your take on that? Because
I
what
think it.
it appears what we're going to have is we're going to have different missions taking place at different tables throughout the day, which I think is great.
Yeah, it is interesting in that having the missions go on separately. That's going to be interesting, and you never know what you're going to get when you're showing up to the tournament. Uh, you can't exactly plan ahead except for what you've actually brought to play your mission or your string of missions. You can plan out your string of missions of what you could run into. That's what you can plan for, but the instances of when they're going to happen, you never know. As an organizer, that sounds like a headache because you have all these missions going on that are completely different going on, and you're having to bounce between table and table, figure out what the situation is on this one, why they're cheating over here, why they're cheating over there. Uh, they're doing something wrong on this table. Now you got to catch up and figure out what's been going on here. Uh, I feel like that's one headache for organizers with this change is that it's too much going on for them to kind of pinpoint and be able to put out the fires as they happen. Uh, but that's my take on that.
Yeah, and I think that man, listen, this whole get the TO because we need a ruling on how the mission scores. You guys need to sort that out. You know what I'm saying? If you're cheating, if you're misrepresenting yourself, if you're misscoring, the TO should just walk over and say, something funny going on? And if one player says, yeah, man, all right, buddy, you lose. You're out. Get out of here. We can't have this. The game, oh boy, we're in danger of mini takes first Shane rant. Okay, it has to do with cheaters. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on it, and I'll save it. But to give you the quick version, this game is too inexact in that we push plastic dudes around a table. The rules are too complicated, and that they take many, 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 many sentences and words to communicate. There are too many random handfuls of dice being rolled multiple times for you to be participating and engaging in any level of skullduggery. We need a zero tolerance policy on it. Because if it's like, hey man, I don't think that does that, and then I go and look and be like, oh shoot, no, it doesn't, my bad. That's one thing. But if I'm like, no, no, man, look, that comma says that it does this. Mm-mm. No, no, no. You got to go. I got to go. Somebody got to go. Because it can't be that. It's too hard. Like you say, well, these TOs are not supposed to be referees. They're not supposed to be some sort of encyclopedic, uh, you know, AI chatbot of all the rules and possible permutations of this entire thing. That's ridiculous, man.
Are you saying that I shouldn't be able to call over the TO and say, "How does this rule work?" at any point?
No,
Just like the help button, just boom,
no,
hit it. Hey TO, how do I do this? Hey TO, can I do this? What happens if I do this? What does this do? How would this work in this context?
no.
Are you saying they're not there for that?
No, they're not there for that. If you and your playing partner don't know how to play the game, then honestly, you guys just do the best you can because you're probably going to score 32 points each and nobody's going to care. You see what I mean? In all likelihood, if you've signed up to play 3 straight 40K games with a clock, you know how to play the game. None of this is happening. Like this whole idea of the idiot, right? The straw man idiot in the tournament who's just like, oh yeah, I didn't know that this is how it worked, and so I won, 3-0, 100 every time. That guy doesn't exist because he's going to play with. In one of those rounds, he's going to play with somebody that knows what they're doing, and they're going to be like, hey man, you only roll 2 dice to charge, not 3. Anyway, we need to get on to terrain and our main topic before I get incensed. Many takes. We want your takes. Get down in the comments and let us know what you think about cheaters when we do our Why You Shouldn't Be Cheating episode. I'm hot. I'm hot right now. You know what? I call time. Austin, you've got 5 minutes. I'm going to start the timer. Here comes the timer. The way these work is it's a mini take 5. We throw the clock up. I'm going to tell Austin when it starts because of the way we record this, he can't actually see it. He's going to give you stuff he's seen, stuff he's done in the mini hobby. Heck, maybe he'll tell you about taking his dog to the vet. Clock starts now.
Well, I am working on those custodies. Today. I'm planning on doing some more barrel drilling to try to get those ready to prime. The rest of them, I think I'm kind of settled on how I'm painting them up, so we'll get to that. Uh, let's see what else is there. They have the new custodies out for pre-order for Horus Heresy. Once again, I am saying that these will likely go to Legends once we get a new codex. There was an Instagram post from Warhammer Community, maybe Warhammer Official. I forget how they tag themselves, but they said that they replied to someone and said that these are usable in this edition and the next edition. There's no plans of getting rid of those. My response to that is that we don't know who is posting on this account. They could be an intern who is just being given little sticky notes like, hey, what do I need to respond to this? Okay, here's our official line for now. They aren't involved in design or anything. They don't know what they're saying for the most part. They have been contradictory in the past. So it is my take that best case scenario, you're going to get to play these for the rest of 10th edition. 11th edition is going to roll around. You'll be able to play them at the start of 11th edition. Uh, Maybe as some kind of I believe the PDFs would roll over, uh, like the Imperial Armor stuff. But what's going to happen is once the Codex drops, that's when they're going to get axed. They're going to get axed when the Codex drops, and everyone that bought all their Venatari, their new Dreadnoughts, all the carriers, Graph tanks, those are going away, and you will be left out in the rain. But that is my take on the new Custodes, and I am saying that if you bought these to play in 40K, you better get your money's worth for the time being, because they are going to Legends eventually, and I will stand on that. Then we have this other thing going on. We have the Warhammer Classic video games. I saw this get released yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, on the 13th. This is all these classic Warhammer games are coming out on Steam for PC. I'm thinking about picking up a couple of these. I really want to try the Space Hulk. They have several Space Hulks, but I want to try the Space Hulk, and I want to do Chaos Gate. I think that's almost kind of like an XCOM kind of 40K thing going on, but it's from I think 1998. But it looks fun to try out, so I want to pick up that. Let's see, anything else? The dog situation. So, dog ate a corn cob. Did not know she would do that, but she ate a corn dog. Not a corn dog. Ate a corn cob. Ate the corn cob. I was freaking out. Wife was not freaking out as much as I was. So we take her to the ER, Animal Emergency Hospital, and they do X-rays on her. Can't find the corn cob. They assume that she must have chewed it up enough. So we get home. Uh, Out a big pet medical bill. Big pet medical bill. We are not doing well with the with the medical bill in planning new miniature purchases because of that. Any miniature purchases that were planned have been once again scooted ahead in the calendar. So any new Custodes or bolt action stuff is put on the back burner for now. But she is doing fine. She has released any corn cobs that were inside her, and we are happy about that. Also, I did landscaping on the house. We laid down mulch and rock, little retaining wall of rock, put some mulch in there. We got some pink and white
1 minute.
flowers, and we got some bushes. Uh, I think they're Yupon dwarf holly bushes. They are really cool. I am watering them every night, making sure they are well hydrated. We were going to put the Japanese maple that we got for the wedding. We did a tree ceremony. We were going to put that out front, but I'm currently looking at a wall where the landscaping is outside. But we're going to put that
30.
out front. But instead, we are going to save it because it is currently not doing too well. It's kind of shocked from being put outside. So we are going to wait and put that out back somewhere and do a little bit of back landscaping. But overall, it has made the house look so much better. It's very homey. And I think that if you're able to
10.
put any greenery outside your house, you should go ahead and do that because it really helps make the community look better.
Very nice. Very nice, Austin. And I am much more relaxed now after hearing your stories. Now, don't forget that you can take 5 and give me 5 minutes whenever you feel like it. But let's get into our 11th edition terrain takes. Um, I'll start. There's about to be a lot of MDF terrain in the trash, boy.
Oh, is there? Yeah,
Just
there is.
piles of it. It's too bad that this new edition isn't coming out in the wintertime because you could heat your house with the amount of MDF that is about to be thrown bodily away.
Yeah. Now, is it not still usable? That's my question.
Okay, here's my belief. I don't think like yes, the short answer is yes, it is going to be usable, which is on our list of things to talk about in this new terrain shakeup. However, I don't believe that anybody cares about their MDF terrain. Painted,
Not in, especially not in the state that it's
non-painted.
in.
Well,
Yeah.
even like the nice kits, like those um oh gosh, what's the name of the place that everybody gets their mats and their MDF terrain from? Why am I blanking on their name?
It's, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I
I
want to
can't.
say
Frontline Gaming.
FLG, Frontline Gaming. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
even like the nice, pre-painted Frontline Gaming stuff. I don't think anybody actually loves it. They do not cherish it. It is. I think it is less cared about than the dice. That's my take. And so now that it is going to be not quite the right size, especially with the new 2-inch wide, like long pieces that we're going to have, none of it is going to fit on that. The sort of L's and things that go with those kits will fit on like the big rectangle, or they might fit on the new triangle sections. There, a lot of the terrain
Hmm.
kits now are going to have these triangles that either end up being combined for a big room in the middle, or they're kind of in deployment zones. You know, so you're still going to be able to use those, but then there'll be these other spots, the small triangle, um, I think a small rectangle with different things that should be like traversable walls and stuff like that. I don't think those are going to be very good. Those kits for those, and so the people are just going to throw them out. Let
Yeah.
us let us know in the comments what are your plans for your MDF terrain kit. Is it ever going to see the light of day again?
So here's something I have about that. I feel like at least the ones I had seen, already looked disposable
Uh-huh.
in their I guess build quality. They already felt like they were kind of a disposable thing. They didn't seem like something you'd want to keep around
Man,
very long.
I've looked into the MDF terrain kits because it is nice, especially from Frontline Gaming, how you can buy just one thing and it's a whole table worth, right? Whereas
Hmm.
nearly everything else, all the GW old school ruins, all of the various plastic ruins and things, the the custom ruin type Gothic ruin kit that I got, it took 2 boxes of it to make just nearly enough terrain for a board, right? And
Hmm.
I think that what they've done, Frontline Gaming, and they're going to do it again. They'll make new MDF terrain that is appropriate for the new footprints and all that, right? So they'll just sell everybody this again. But even the best looking stuff to me is just not. It's just not great. It gives me
Yeah.
it gives me shoot house vibes. You know what a shoot house is?
Enlighten me.
So a shoot house is something like if you participate in uh, like uh, uh, like firearms training and things. You'll have
Okay. Yeah.
you'll have this whole kind of course. Usually it'll be in a shop or something, or sometimes it's just out in the open. But it's a bunch of plywood walls, windows. It's a it's almost like a movie set where it's open on one side sometimes, and you go through it, and you can be observed and coached, for safety reasons and whatnot, and only shoot in one direction as you move through a kitchen and a living room and whatever, right? A bathroom,
Mm.
a bank teller window, things like that, and shoot your targets. But they're always these just plywood walls, stud walls. That's all they are, right? They cut a rough hole out and
Hmm.
they call that a window, and on and on and on it goes, because a lot of times this thing has to be taken down after the event, right? And you can't be shooting
Hmm.
guns in any old random direction in a real house, can you? Because ultimately these things are built in front of the range and the berm so that it's all safe. But it does not look like a house. They call it a shoot house, but it's not really a house because there's no roof, and it's like, maybe the walls don't even go to the ground. It's just, it's all cardboard and plywood, and that's what all the MDF terrain looks like to me. Even the best
Yeah.
looking stuff. It just, the 40K models are so detailed and well realized. And then you stand them next to even a painted MDF wall, and it's just a perfectly flat wall. Maybe there's some little laser cut nonsense on it. It does not. It does not continue the the theme, the aesthetic, the whole vibe of the models that are playing around it. It just doesn't, in
Mhm.
my opinion. That's my take. You want a new
Yeah.
take? You want to kick around a new one? We're gonna have to
What
figure
is
out
it?
a transition phrase or something to move from one take to the next. Um, okay. Now that's what I predict is going to happen to people's terrain they've already got. However, I think that in all the terrain talk that we've done, my take is GW has zigged in the most brilliant way. Because you and I did a podcast a while back where we posited some new terrain rules that would take us away from everything's a ruin, right? And
Hmm.
we said, well, what if there's like distance lengths and things? If you're in the woods, you're untargetable for so far. And they've kind of done that with the hidden rule.
Oh yeah, the hidden, that is a kind of a new wrench thrown into 40K. It's kind of a it's something we haven't really seen before, and it reminds me of Kill Team in the way Kill Team has their what is it, hidden?
Their
What do they
conceal
have?
order.
Yeah, they're concealed order. That's what it made me think of, and I know we've had a couple people locally been up in arms over the inclusion of this rule, saying that it's for newbies who don't know how to play the game.
Sure, but also the game's too killy, and everybody gets mad when their stuff's shot to death instantly. And so now you're going to be able to take anything you can fit into a terrain feature and say they're not going to shoot, so they're untargetable outside of 15. So the whole Alpha Strike thing can be taken away. You can say, all right, I'm going to shoot you with this tank, but this one over here I'm not going to bother with. I'm going to roll him into the building or the whatever it is, and so he's hidden.
Hmm.
And then unless it's just infantry, I'm not sure. Is it just infantry? Even if it is just infantry, same thing. Honestly, the tanks I'm only but so worried about. You park them all the way behind the stuff; they're untargetable anyway, right? Because Obscured is back.
Yeah.
Uh, it
Hmm.
was it was never not, but for whatever reason we quit calling it that through 10th edition. Where if you're all the way on the other side of a train piece, regardless of true line of sight, you can't shoot something. Everybody's clear on how that works. What sucked is that the infantry, you tow them into a ruin, and unless it's just a completely covered MDF, wall where you can't physically see them, which sucked, then
Hmm.
then they were hidden anyway, weren't they? Well, now they have the
Yeah.
option. The player has the option to put them there and say, "Yeah, I'm not going to fire these las cannons. I'm not going to fire this melta gun. I'm not going to throw these grenades. They're going to sit there. They're hidden." And then your opponent has to say, "Well, all right then. I'm either going to walk up toward them to get within the 15 and then try to shoot them, right, at -1 to hit because of cover, or not." Now think about this. So that detection range is 15 inches. Okay, I'm gonna walk up there till I can get close enough to shoot them. All right, well now, buddy, we're about to. You better get us because we're gonna shoot you, or well, we're gonna walk out of here, our whole six, and we're gonna shoot at you. We're gonna throw a grenade. We're gonna charge you on like a 9. Oh, but these are chosen. I'm an advance shoot and charge. So I move 9. I got a 7. I gotta make a 7. It's a good rule. It's a 15. It's a good measurement. That's my take on hidden. Now, here's the thing though. We talked about how there were all these ideas of different terrain types and what those rules could be. GW came over the top and said, nah, we're not going to do multiple types. We're not going to do any types. Everything is a terrain feature. And I love this. Why do I love it? Well, it has to do with the footprint sizes that they decided on. Okay? These new 2-inch wall things are brilliant. The great big plates of various types, also brilliant. The idea that the terrain on some of these plates is passable or not by vehicles, regardless of what it looks like, how tall it is, whatever, right? Says to me that now you
Hmm.
can just move it out of the way, I suppose. Just like in most games where it's like, okay, these guys are going to go in the trees, let's move the trees to the periphery of the zone, and now they fit in the forest because this is a game with pieces that we actually have to manipulate, right? And it did not make
Hmm.
much sense to be like, okay, I've got some trees in a forest, but I need to figure out how to get my 10 guardsmen, my 10 little dinky guardsmen in there physically. That sucks, right? So now,
Yeah.
what they've done, we've got our hidden, we've got our cover. If you're in it, you get -1 to hit. Simple. If you're behind it, can't be targeted. Most of it, you can roll your vehicles through. They've fixed it. On my big middle ruin, I can take my crane from my old Nachman Kill Team box, the big crane, I could say,
Hmm.
that's what that is. We're playing in a junkyard and there's a crane in the middle. And it's going to function just as well as some big, ridiculous L. The walls, I can use my pipes from the same kit. If I want a great big ruin, I can grab my big Gothic custom L's and stick it on wherever it fits. Or I can take something and make a wall, right? Or whatever. So while I think that the MDF stuff is about to get thrown out, I think people are going to be buying all sorts of random stuff to make their new boards, which is great.
Yeah.
You can play in a forest, you can play in an alien land, you can play in a ruined city, and it's all going to be fine because
Hmm.
they made enough of those shapes small enough that you can stand behind them, do less sticking your gun through the middle of it, right? All that kind of thing. I think it's going to be great. Now, you have a take on the terrain feature?
Well, I had to take on hidden, but I let you cook on what you had just said. My thing with the hidden and all that is that it opens up an interesting idea of whether or not we could have a spotting mechanic. Because it said that units within 15 inches have a detection range to where you can detect hidden units. But I wonder if you could have some kind of spotting mechanic where a unit could spot for a further away unit.
Could be. That does sound like what Tau
And
would want to do with their whole spotting mechanic that they've always had. I'm thinking though,
because I think that I would just say it'd be interesting having almost spotting units that could kind of spot for your long range guns like tanks and stuff.
I predict we will see that in a guard detachment of artillery. So one of
Hmm.
those one
Yeah.
point detachments where you know it's only for you'd have to name the guard artillery pieces, but there what are there 5 of them, right? And
There's like three, I think.
the detachment rule might be for 1 CP, you can declare a unit a spotter, and then he can spot a hidden unit, and you can fire artillery at it, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be like because I don't imagine there's going to be a whole page of stratagems for those one point detachments. I expect there might be 2, and so that would be an awesome one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Now, here's another thing about this terrain, this new world that we're in with the terrain, is it's got these footprints. It's all kind of one thing, whatever you put on the footprints, right? The footprints are also our objectives, which I think is cool. Um, it's not 2D terrain. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
real close. And I don't know if I love that.
it's yeah, it's there, but it's also not there.
There is a little bit of abstraction taking place to the point where you could just have, we got a couple of the layouts, right? And on the layouts, they prescribe like the shape of whatever it is that's sitting on it. And I could
Hmm.
see some bleep holes doing, um, oh gosh, what are they? Why am I blanking on the word? Like they're mouse pad material, like objective markers that we've been having. We call those
I have no idea. Besides calling it mousepad material.
anyway. That stuff I could see some bleep holes making a whole set of that is the right shape and size and also has drawn on it the actual shapes of the passable and impassable terrain, color coded just like it is in the picture, right?
Hmm.
And then you would be able to play it totally 2D terrain, which would be the lamest thing on the planet. Because you could simply say, okay, well, I could stick my gun, my tank gun through here, but not through here because there's the where the impassable wall would be on the drawing. Like that would be so
Yeah.
lame.
Uh huh.
But somebody's going to do it, and some people are going to play it that way.
I cannot stand when they do stuff like that in other games.
Yeah, I hate it because for all the bleep we talked about the MDF terrain feeling like a poor representation of what it is. There's nothing worse than just saying like, "Oh, it's just a drawing on the ground." Yeah, no that drawing's impassable, but that one does blah. I hate that. I hate it with
Yeah.
a red passion.
You know
We're
what?
playing a miniatures game.
Yeah. I think that you need to take that passion and take 5.
I do need to take 5. Let me pull up my clock because we're getting toward the end. It's a good thing you remembered it. Timer is starting now. So I want to tell you guys what I've done in the miniature hobby this week, and to see some of this stuff, you can check it out over on the Mini Takes TikTok. We're getting quite a few followers, something like 570 something followers on there, and it doesn't
Ooh.
appear that a single one of them is listening to the long form podcast. But I'm gonna keep chipping away. Now, we don't just do 40K anymore. Here on Mini Takes, we do everything, and I have been working on my bolt action stuff. And I've been working on my vehicles, okay? I got a Jeep, I got a Stewart tank, and I got a Sherman with the wood on the sides like in Fury, I think, right? Isn't that how it was? And
Yes.
they all three of these are a mix. Well, the Stewart is a plastic kit, which was fine. The Jeep and the Sherman are resin slash metal. And boy, let me tell you, I talked about it a couple podcasts ago that the building was harrowing. But then I went to painting, and I tried to do a speckling thing because I thought it'd make them look a little rough and tumble, and so I salted them, and it didn't not work, but it looked like they that my vehicles had taken buckshot down around their bottom from a distance, right? Which wasn't the look I was going for exactly, but it wasn't a total failure. It passes, right? Then by then I've sprayed them all green, and they're green with buckshot damage, and they looked horrible because they looked at once way too clean and way too messed up. So I said, well,
Mm.
when in doubt, wash it out. So I got my white spirits and my burnt umber oil paint, heavy body oil paint, and mixed me up some goop and proceeded to goop them all the way up, just everywhere. Big brush, gooping on, thick boy. And I got them all gooped up with an oil wash, got my pieces of sponge, and just jankily stippled and stabbed and wiped until some green was revealed again in places, right? and it dried,
Hmm.
and it's money. They look good. Um, I magnetized my guy with the 50 cal on the Jeep, which was also janky. Tried to get this metal mini magnetized where there was no place to actually put the magnet. I just sort of fabricated a bracket out of super glue to stick a magnet to the bottom of this guy's gun. So now he sticks onto the other magnet, which is just on the floor of the Jeep. So that works fine. You can't even tell that that is a
Hmm.
magnet in there because he's like stood on the back bench working the gun. However, if I the reason I got the Jeep in the first place is because it can tow a I think it's 30 millimeter anti tank gun. However, if it tows, it can't have a gun on it. Okay, or if it's a transport, it can't have a gun on it. So I wanted to be able to have it be the tow or the transport for like a command squad, because it can hold 3 guys. Or if I feel like it, I can bring my Jeep with the gun on it and it can, pepper troops from a distance. So that's what I did. I posted this one over on TikTok and asked the question. Also asked the question in uh, our Discord. Don't lie. Do you all paint or spend very much time painting your token pieces?
1 minute.
1 minute. Your token pieces. I had to do so. I'm finished with the Masters of Maelstrom, or very nearly. I had just the little doggo to do, and all he is a token for when you basically he's a bomb squig, right? And I meant to go with the same gusto that I did on the other guys. However, I'm discovering that I don't so much like to paint creatures as I like to paint guys and armored things or even vehicles. And so he did not get the most time in the world. However, he does look good. But I want to know, what's your take on painting tokens? How much care do you give them? Let us know. We'll talk about it next week. That's 10 seconds. I think that's good. And we're back. All right, I've got let's knock out kind of rapid fire just one or two more takes on this stuff and then we'll call it a day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave your takes. Leave your takes on our takes. And we'll look at them, we'll respond, and we'll read them and respond. We love to respond. It's kind of our favorite thing to do. Uh, GW's diagramming. You and I were discussing this a little bit, but right before we started.
Yeah, I needed some clarification on one of the diagrams because I couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah, the diagram of what the OC is doing that they included in their terrain rules reveal. GW really needs to
I
work on
have,
their.
I have,
Go ahead.
I was
They
just
need to
saying,
work on their
I have
diagramming.
my problem with it. Yeah. I think the problem is if you want to look at it at home, it's the article, train objectives, how to make your own mission. Uh, and they've got on this diagram, they have sisters versus world eaters. They've got the footprint of the objective with the terrain on there. Uh, they have a tank and a walker on the objective, and then the world eaters have some infantry. And it's trying to show you about how the scoring works on this objective. And my problem with it was they said there were six models on the world eater side claiming the objective, and it was hard for me to make out what was what from this top down perspective. They have the red outlined glow on all the world eater stuff, and they're already red, so it made the knowing what was what detail wise kind of confusing. I didn't know this was two units. They have the jackals, and then they have the berserkers, and they all blended together for me to where I didn't know they were two separate units. But it's the red glow that I think bothered me with it.
Yeah, and
Apparently, the
what
world leaders are battle shocked. Yeah,
right?
battle shocked, so they aren't contesting the objective, but the jackals are. Are you looking at it too?
No, no, I'm not looking at it, but I do remember it. There's also a tank that's sort of towed on the thing, and I'm not sure. Does it say if its OC counts or not? Just having a tow on, or
Yeah,
does it?
it does
Okay,
count.
so it counts. Um, yeah, basically, GW needs somebody to do some better job with their diagrams and illustrations because there are not too many that I can think of that are just absolutely clear. And that's a shame because the whole idea of the picture being worth 1,000 words is that it should be an easy way to communicate what you're trying to tell people. And yet,
Mhm.
sometimes their illustrations beget more questions than they deliver answers, and I think that's a shame because
The
we can all understand with no diagram that each model has an OC value and X amount of models on the thing greater than Y equals your control. I don't really
mhm.
need a picture for that, but then they're like, here's a picture that is confusing. And it's like, well, the pictures are supposed to be easier. So I've ended up just reading more to confirm or debunk whatever my whatever I gleaned from the picture.
Yeah.
Like it's a picture.
The in the old world rule book, the diagrams they have in there, I feel like are easier to understand, and but they're monochrome and they're monochromed and have more kind of like drawings, illustrations of the models from top down. I don't know if that's better than this. The problem is there's so much stuff going on these models top down with all the base details and then all the just details of the miniatures. That's kind of they all kind of blend together, and I can't tell what that is supposed to be presenting.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a football play that is
Yeah,
nice. If you almost break it down to X's and O's, and some
that would be
simple
better
geometry.
having.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Or blue and red. Blue has 3 dots on the square, and red has 4, but red is battle shock, so they count as nothing, or whatever. But
yeah.
red's got a tank, and the tank's square, right? So the square
Yeah.
that says tank on it is towed on, so it counts as 2, though. I don't know. GW's funny, man. I'm so glad. We'll close with this. I'm so glad that we're getting quite clearly a 10.5 edition because it would be rough for them to start from scratch again. Just because I don't like starting from scratch is hard, and they're a model company, not a game company. So says them.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, guys, with more of your mini takes. Leave yours below, subscribe, comment, etc.